You're watching KOMO News.
Breaking news right now, a preliminary report on the deadly Air India plane crash last month has just been released. Investigators say an issue with the engine fuel supply led to the deaths of 260 people. These are new photos that came out of today's report. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner was heading to London from the Ahmedabad airport before it crashed. According to investigators, that aircraft reached an airspeed of 180 knots when both engines' fuel cutoff switches were, quote, transitioned from run to cutoff position, one after another. Only one passenger survived. In a voice recording from the cockpit, one of the pilots is heard asking the other why he cut off the engines, and pilot 2 responded that he did not. We'll dive more into this new report coming up at 4 and 5 o'clock.
Breaking right now on KIRO 7 tonight, a Seattle synagogue is flooded with hazmat crews and police after a suspicious envelope is discovered.
And this is the fourth time in just the past few days.
Scary times. There's a lot of anti-Semitism and hatred to our community now.
What the man who called 911 has to say about the moment he opened the temple's mailbox.
Plus, nurses in the North Sound preparing for the picket line.
Anytime nurses are not at the bedside, that means something's gone wrong.
What a strike at Everett's Providence Hospital means for your emergency care this week.
And it's a situation no one wants to find themselves in. Hand over your keys or your life.
They don't really want to hurt anybody. They just want to instill fear.
KIRO 7 asks the survival expert the one thing you need to know if you're carjacked at gunpoint. Breaking right now on KIRO 7 tonight, several people rushed to the hospital after shots are fired at a South Seattle Safeway. Police now collecting dozens of pieces of evidence.
We're hearing from multiple witnesses about the chaos and what happened here tonight.
Plus, another busy weekend ahead in Seattle, including possible protests over an international economic forum.
We don't stand for what's being negotiated behind closed doors at APEC.
We took your safety concerns to Seattle Police Chief Adrian Diaz in an exclusive interview. And 3 Western Washington brothers empowering the future generation and making waves in the film industry.
There's still very little Thai representation, which is why there's us.
We introduce you to the Thai Guys and the work they're doing to break the standard American mold.
What you have tonight, in the light of this tragedy, you have these fine community leaders here, people that come from these streets, that come from this community, protecting the community, literally putting their lives on the line to protect the community, to protect our kids, our youth, our seniors. That's the tragedy of today, with too many guns in the wrong places, in the wrong hands.
And breaking right now, Mayor Bruce Harrell speaking from the scene of a mass shooting in South Seattle. At least 5 people shot outside of a donut shop. Good evening, I'm Elle Thomas. Now, we've been watching this unfold for about 2 hours now. Right now, a massive police response and the search for that shooter. Let's get right out to KIRO 7's Bridget Chavez, who is live at the Safeway along Rainier Avenue South and 52nd Avenue. Bridget, just a terrifying situation here. What can you tell us so far?
Yeah, Elle, absolutely. We did just hear from Chief Diaz. He says that they're actually looking for 2 suspects in this shooting, and this was a massive police response. But right now they're clearing the scene. They're starting to wrap things up. This was during a community event that was going on, that those shots were fired here. That community organization now cleaning up this parking lot because this was just a chaotic scene. Now, again, we learned from Seattle police that 5 people were shot. 4 of those victims were taken to Harborview to be treated. 1 person was treated at the scene here and they were then released. We know that 2 of those people are in critical condition. At this point, the good news is there are no fatalities. Police say, again, they are searching for 2 shooters and believe that those are the people that are responsible for this. We spoke with a witness who saw one of the victims run inside with a gunshot wound. He said it was terrifying. He came outside to find a bullet had shattered one of his car windows.
It's crazy. It is. There is a lot of kids here, a lot of families here. We was shopping inside the Safeway. Yeah, it's scary.
And there are dozens of evidence markers that were found outside of that donut shop. Now, the donut shop is located next to the Safeway parking lot. Those we have evidence. There were evidence markers found there, and that again right next to the Safeway parking lot. That's where police say those shots were fired from. Now again, back out here live, the scene is clearing up. Again, this was all happening during a community event. We learned from some community leaders they were giving out food, trying to improve things in this neighborhood by giving people a safe place to go on a Friday night. They say that this is an event that's held every Friday, and they are just shocked that something like this could happen here. We're going to continue to stay on top of this. We'll have more updates for you online at KIRO7.com. But for now, reporting live in South Seattle, Bridget Chavez, KIRO 7 News.
And we begin tonight with jaw-dropping video capturing a Seattle police officer's disturbing comments in the moments after the death of a 23-year-old woman.
Yeah, just write a check. Just $11,000. She was 26 anyway. She had limited value.
And that is the voice of Vice President of the Seattle Police Officers Guild, Dan Otterer. He's talking about this 23-year-old woman, Janavi Kandula, a grad student at Northeastern University's Seattle campus. Good evening. I'm Aaron Wright.
And I'm Gwen Baumgartner. The officer involved in the actual crash is Officer Kevin Dave. Police reports show he was going 74 miles an hour when he struck Kandula at the crosswalk. This was off of Thomas Street and also Dexter Avenue North.
Otterer was called to conduct a drug recognition test following that crash. KIRO 7's Jake Chapman has been watching this new body camera footage throughout the day.
Yeah, Jake, this is getting a strong response from people in that neighborhood.
A very strong response, guys, and to say they're appalled, I think that would be putting it mildly, because they tell me that this intersection crosswalk that you see right here, they say they never look at it the same since this tragic accident happened in January, and they tell me to hear an officer making those comments, period, is flat out unacceptable.
A life means nothing to you, police officer?
He's going 50.
Jaw-dropping comments made by a Seattle police officer.
Yeah. Lights and sirens.
Moments after 23-year-old Janavi Kandula, a graduate student at Northeastern Seattle campus, was struck and killed by another officer.
I think she went up on the hood, hit the windshield, then when he hit the brakes, flew off the car. But she is dead.
And when we showed people the troubling video...
No, it's a regular person.
Many believe those comments.
What?
Get worse.
Yeah, that's not okay.
Yeah, just write a check. Just $11,000. She was 26 anyway. She had limited value.
I read about her. She had an entire family, an entire career ahead of her.
Officer Dan Otterer,
yep,
who is the vice president of the Seattle Police Officers Guild, is the officer you just heard from. He was called in as the drug recognition expert to evaluate the officer behind the wheel.
You may begin.
Otterer was reportedly on the phone at the time, unaware his body camera was recording his end of the conversation. The Seattle Community Police Commission sending out a statement in response to the video, calling the comments heartbreaking and shockingly insensitive. The statement goes on to read, quote, "The people of Seattle deserve better from a police department that is charged with fostering trust with the community and ensuring public safety."
I think these people should be investigated. I think this kind of behavior is not expected from a public servant, especially in that moment.
And many people believe because of this video, that trust is slowly dwindling.
Our police needs to do better. Definitely needs to do better. Take responsibility, take action, make Seattle safe for us.
Heartbreaking stuff, guys. Now, of course, the Office of Police Accountability is investigating this video. As for a response from the Seattle Police Officers Guild, we've called, we've texted, we've yet to hear back. Live in Seattle, Jake Chapman, KIRO 7 News.
But first, we are following breaking news out of North Seattle now. Yet another synagogue reporting a suspicious package delivered to their place of worship. Good evening. I'm Elle Thomas.
And I'm Aaron Wright. Seattle Fire had hazmat crews respond to the 6200 block of 43rd Avenue at the CSTL Synagogue.
And that is where we find KIRO 7's Jake Chapman joining us live. Jake, you actually spoke to the person who found the package.
And he describes it as a big white envelope, Aaron Donnell, and he found that envelope as he was checking the mail here at this temple. And he says the description of the envelope rather matched the description. It sounded similar to the other envelopes that we have reported on found at other synagogues in just the past few days. As you can see right here, the scene has cleared for the time being. But if you look at your screen right here, you could just see how massive this response was from Seattle Fire and police. We even saw FBI agents out here as well. This is what we know so far about the situation. Crews were called out here to the CTSL synagogue over an hour and a half ago after a member of the congregation found a suspicious envelope. We have learned in the last hour that the substance found in it was non-hazardous, hence why the scene is now clear. But this is still a scary situation for the synagogue as well as the rest of the Jewish community. Yet through it all, members of this congregation say they remain united and will not tolerate these sort of attacks.
We have to protect ourselves and care for our community and be vigilant, and basically that's what we have to do, and we have to pull together at these times.
The FBI is also aiding in the other suspicious package investigations at the other temples that received suspicious envelopes in the mail with a powdery substance. And in the case we reported about on Friday in the Seward Park neighborhood, the substance found in that envelope was also deemed not toxic. But many people in the Jewish community that we have spoken with in the past few days say these are pretty scary times right now for them given the situation in Israel. But when it comes to situations like these, finding suspicious letters or packages at their doorsteps of temples of worship, they say it's something they're sadly used to. Live in Seattle, Jake Chapman, KIRO 7 News.
Jake, thank you. And we are following more breaking news now along US 2 at Frylands Boulevard near Monroe. Take a look here. You're looking live at the scene where state troopers tell us one person was hit by a car. This happened just before 8 this evening. Details very limited right now, but we do know the victim was taken to the hospital in serious condition. In the meantime, US 2 is fully blocked so police can process that scene.
Habemus Papam.
We begin at 3:30 with the first American-born pope in history stepping onto the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica as Pope Leo XIV. Good afternoon, I'm Steve Solis.
And I'm Molly Shen. Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost of Chicago breaks a long taboo against a pope from the United States. Tens of thousands of people packed into the square as white smoke began to rise from the Sistine Chapel, signaling a new pope. The Cardinals reached a two-thirds majority after just 3 voting sessions. Today, the 69-year-old pope delivered his first message and blessing as the leader of the world's 1.4 billion Catholics.
God loves everyone. Evil will not prevail. We are all in the hands of God.
Pope Francis brought Prevost to the Vatican in 2023 to head the office that vets bishop nominations from around the world, one of the most important jobs in the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church's leadership under Pope Leo is likely to continue in the vision of the late Pope Francis. Leo's priorities for the Church will become clear soon enough, but his welcoming speech to St. Peter's Square gives us a window into his thoughts. Leo told the faithful that they must walk united, seeking peace and justice, and to be missionaries to the world. He tells Catholics they must show charity, presence, and be in dialogue with love.
People across Western Washington are celebrating the new pope. A church named for the original St. Leo is in Tacoma. That's where we find KOMO's Jackie Kent, who spoke with a bishop and parishioners about their hopes for the church under Pope Leo XIV. Jackie.
Yeah, well, Steve, you can imagine people's excitement when they learned the new pope chose the name Leo XIV. About 500 Pierce County families attend St. Leo Catholic Church here off Yakima and 13th. Some parishioners telling me they are excited for the Pope to continue the mission of Leo XIII, who was an advocate for workers' rights and a lot more. Inside St. Leo's, we spoke with Bishop Frank Schuster with the Archdiocese of Seattle. He tells us he's heard the new Pope is kind, personable, and has a deep love for the poor, who he helped through most of his priesthood in Peru. A couple miles away, outside the Church of St. Patrick, people tell us they feel lucky to have Leo XIV step in. One woman watched his speech and was glad to hear his emphasis on peace and building bridges to include those in groups who have traditionally been marginalized. Now, parishioners at St. Leo's tell me they hope the announcement of the new Pope will draw attention to the work being done here here at St. Leo's Catholic Church. That includes a food bank that feeds hundreds of Pierce County families every single week. All of those specifics for you coming up at 5 o'clock. For now, live in Tacoma, Jackie Kent, KOMO News.
Jackie, thank you. President Donald Trump celebrated the news, writing on social media, "Congratulations to Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, who was just named Pope. It is such an honor to realize that he is the first American Pope. What excitement and what a great honor for our country."
Count on KOMO for continuing coverage on the election of Pope Leo XIV. We'll have the latest updates throughout our later newscast and online at KOMOnews.com.
Developing right now in the South Sound, cleanup efforts are underway after a fire tore through a mill in Tacoma. That fire at Johnson's Mill Works on South Tacoma Way near Trafton Street broke out last night and continued through the morning hours. The KOMO 4 drone shows you those intense flames. Fire officials tell KOMO the fire was difficult to fight because it was burning below ground level, in addition to a lot of wood materials and some chemicals inside. Windy conditions also fueled the flames. People are still being asked to avoid that stretch of South Tacoma Way as crews monitor it and put out the occasional hotspots. A big traffic slowdown on I-90 over the weekend as firefighters in Kittitas County tackled what they're calling the charter fire. It started just before 4 yesterday afternoon off I-90 eastbound near Cleellum. A couple hours later, Kittitas County Fire says they were able to stop the forward progress of that fire. And at last check, it was estimated at just under 5 acres. The State Department of Natural Resources is still investigating how it started. And now to Mason County, where fire crews continue to battle both the Tunerville and Bear Gulch fires. On your left is the Tunerville fire in Belfair. The sheriff's office says crews spent the weekend securing the perimeter, and at last report the fire is 25% contained. It's burned about 85 acres now. Level 1 or get ready fire evacuations remain in place. Then on the right side of your screen is the more remote Bear Gulch fire in the Olympic National Forest. That one is now at 443 acres with 0% containment. No structures are damaged or threatened right now. There are no evacuation orders for that area.
Well, tonight, a sign of hope in the search for a missing submersible lost on a Titanic expedition. According to an internal U.S. government memo, sonar picked up banging sounds from underneath the water near the area where that vessel disappeared. We know 5 people are on board, 1 pilot and 4 passengers. They are Stockton Rush, the founder and CEO of Ocean Gate, which is based in Everett, billionaire British businessman Hamish Harding, Pakistani billionaire Shahzada Dawood and his son Suleiman Dawood, and French diver Paul-Henri Nargeolet. According to the memo obtained by CNN, it's unclear when the banging was first heard or for how long. More sounds were heard throughout the day, though it was not described as banging. A Canadian P-3 aircraft also spotted a white rectangular object in the water, but another ship set to investigate was diverted to help research the acoustic feedback instead. Now, here's a look at what the crews are dealing with right now. A former passenger who took the Titan to the Titanic in 2021 says the submersible, fully loaded with 5 people, is tight. There are no seats inside, and while it's hot near the surface of the water, it's nearly freezing in the depths. This is on top of a low oxygen supply. As of right now, the crew only has about 28 hours.
The fact that this vehicle has not come back to the surface does not bode well. Either it's an entanglement issue or there's a broader set of series of failures that have it now on the bottom.
A monitoring system is set to warn the pilot of any problems, and even if everything else fails, the vessel should drop its external weights and rise automatically. Now, Chief Meteorologist Morgan Palmer is joining us now. Morgan, this is truly multifaceted here. What kind of weather challenges is Coast Guard facing?
Well, the good news is it's not very stormy out there. The bad news is this part of the North Atlantic is usually a pretty bumpy area to be around, with a very high waves out there, even during fairly typical weather. This is the location southeast of Newfoundland out there. And of course, they have some waves. Right now, the wave height estimated to be about 6 feet. The good news going into tomorrow, I'll run the pinpoint future track. We'll see some clearing out there of some clouds and no significant storm systems coming their way. So the rescue crews ought to have decent weather to continue the search, at least as long as the oxygen supplies we've been talking about remains. Hel?
All right, Morgan, thank you. Now, to get a better perspective on how difficult this search is, we're hearing from a marine salvage expert in Tacoma. He says, imagine Mount Rainier, then invert the mountain and put it underwater. That's nearly the depth of the Titanic shipwreck. He's breaking down the possibilities for Titan and its crew with our Dee Dee Sun.
It's dangerous, obviously. Very dangerous.
Bob Mester manages Northwest Maritime Consultants and has worked on salvaging marine wrecks for decades. Here he is on a submersible in 1998, surveying a World War II plane wreck. He says the outcome for Titan, the missing submersible made by Everett-based OceanGate Expeditions, has only a few possibilities.
The pilot could have had a physical or health issue, heart attack or stroke.
Or he says it could be an electrical problem, since the submersible lost communication 1 hour and 45 minutes into its voyage to survey the Titanic shipwreck. He says in either case, the other 4 on board should be able to hit a weight release and resurface the sub.
So the other option is a catastrophic failure of the submarine, which means the hull somehow breached. And if that were to happen, it would be instantaneous and no chance for any survival by anybody.
Mester says even by sending equipment to the bottom of the ocean, finding the small sub will still be difficult.
To go into this debris field for the Titanic with its massive amount of debris and find a target where the mass is so much smaller than the rest of the items laying on the bottom.
Last year, OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush emphasized Titan's safety to CBS Sunday Mornings.
Everything else can fail. Your thrusters can go, your lights can go, you're still going to be safe.
It's kind of ironic. They're going down on a vessel that was touted to be unsinkable on its maiden voyage. So you never forget the fact that this is a very hostile environment. It's dangerous. It's a new frontier.
The air on board the sub is expected to last until Thursday morning, but Mester says time may have already run out.
How hopeful are you that the people on board will be able to be found alive?
I have no hope right at this point in time. It's a tragic loss.
Dee Dee Sun, KIRO 7 News.
And going in depth, there's an active lawsuit against the founder of the Everett company, OceanGate, for fraud. According to court documents, a couple sued Stockton Rush back in February for failing to give a refund. The couple says they paid nearly $500,000 to go on that very expedition in 2016, but it was canceled several times due to safety concerns and equipment failure. 5 years later, the company allegedly demanded the couple go on the trip, but when they refused, they were told they would not be refunded. Our team is staying on top of this story. We'll be sure to update you on any new developments as soon as they become available both on air and online.
The Palestinian people's struggle will liberate Palestine. We must uphold Palestinians' right and obligation to resist eradication and win back their homeland by any means necessary.
Right now, dozens of activists are gathered at the University of Washington protesting the school's ties to Boeing and the war in Gaza. It comes just a few days after others set fires and caused over $1 million in damage on campus. KOMO senior reporter Chris Daniels stopped by the school as the Board of Regents meets just a few buildings away.
Good afternoon from the University of Washington. The UW Board of Regents holding a meeting here amidst heavy security, talking for the first time about the vandalism and damage that was done on Monday at the Interdisciplinary Engineering Building here on campus. We now know 21 students have been suspended and banned from campus after the UW says they were part of the demonstration and vandalism that resulted in at least $1 million worth of damage. UW President Anna-Maria Kasse saying unequivocally this afternoon to the Regents, it was not a peaceful protest, and, quote, we do have to draw a line. Board Chair Blaine Tamaki with even more reflection in a roughly 10-minute speech with his regents, saying the university would not tolerate anti-Semitic behavior, while adding that he believes the University of Washington needs more political and ideological faculty diversity. We did not hear of any further steps, as Tamaki said he would make no more comments on the Monday occupation. We will have more on this coming up tonight on KOMO News at 5 and 6. For now, at the UW, I'm Chris Daniels, KOMO News.
In New York, chaos at Columbia University as crowds of masked pro-Palestinian protesters stormed the library. 2 public safety officers were injured in the crowd surge. The NYPD took some 70 people into custody. Columbia says most in the crowd were not affiliated with the school. saying, quote, Colombia strongly condemns anti-Semitism and all forms of hate and discrimination, some of which we witnessed today.
First at 3:30, a Project Seattle report. After making progress with homelessness, some neighborhoods in Seattle are now seeing a resurgence of encampments. Good afternoon, I'm Molly Shen. A senior apartment complex in Seattle's Delridge neighborhood was at the center of a bitter fight over the removal of a large homeless encampment. Now residents there called KOMO News for help after their efforts to get the city to address issues around a new encampment went nowhere. This is happening along Myers Way near the Arrowhead Gardens Senior Apartments. KOMO's Jeremy Harris reports on the issues neighbors are hoping can be dealt with soon.
Neighbors here along Myers Way called us this week after they said they have been having problems getting the city to come back and address a new homeless encampment that popped up in a very familiar area. Now, this area dealt with one of the worst homeless encampments over the course of a year on Myers Way. That camp was broken up about a year ago, and the neighbors say they were thrilled with the response both from the state and the city. But they say things have started to come back into this area, including a new homeless camp that is set up in the parking lot of a park and ride. Now, today we spoke with one of the residents at the senior living apartments who says it's not so much that people are living in this area. The problems around the encampment, things like suspected drug dealing, thefts, that's what their main concern is. And they may have some data behind them to support that. Coming up on KOMO News at 5 o'clock, we'll take you to a camp here in West Seattle where police say they pulled an alarming amount of guns and drugs out, and also how a recent court ruling on the other side of town may give hope to some residents here about forcing the city to take action. For now, reporting live near Myers Way, Jeremy Harris, KOMO News.
Multiple neighborhoods across King and Snohomish counties have an increasingly smelly problem. It has been 2 weeks since Republic Services Teamsters stopped work across the country. Locally, many residents are now hauling away their own garbage. To help out a bit, several cities are hosting trash collection sites, but you do have to be a resident of that city to take advantage. If your garbage is piling up, you can scan this QR code that's on your screen or visit komonews.com/hotlinks. You'll find a list of the locations that are offering free waste drop-off. And coming up at 4:30 today, we're looking into what rights customers have and the demands from workers on strike. Senior reporter Chris Daniels will have the details, along with whether people impacted can get refunds. If you have plans in and around Seattle this weekend, expect some travel delays. A large section of I-5 in Seattle is shutting down, and that is expected to cause some pretty significant backups. Northbound I-5 through downtown closes tomorrow night until Monday morning. KOMO's Theron Zahn has the details.
With a major shutdown of part of I-5 looming this weekend, drivers can't be warned enough to find another route to get where they're going.
Get ready for massive backups this weekend, even if you don't plan on using northbound I-5. The ripple effect is expected to push traffic to other freeways and even onto surface streets. Here's what's happening. WashDOT is closing all the mainline northbound lanes on I-5 through downtown Seattle Friday night. The closure will start at I-90 and stretch all the way north to Northeast 45th in the U District. The lanes will stay closed until Monday morning. The shutdown is so major work can be done to the Ship Canal Bridge.
The northbound I-5 work, it's still going to affect people on southbound I-5 because once we close lanes on Friday night, we're going to have the express lanes northbound for the next 4.5 weeks throughout the rest of the work.
Another big shutdown is on the way before summer is over. On Monday, July 21st to Friday, August 15th, northbound I-5 will be down to 2 lanes. That's weeks of backups. Then the night of August 15th, all northbound lanes will be shut down again from I-90 to Northeast 45th Street. During the last closure, drivers told us they know the freeway needs to be fixed.
It's a catch-22 for all of us because it has to be done. And I know it's a challenge of, well, when can they do that?
Now, during the closure, as you just heard, those express lanes in the northbound direction will be open, but they'll provide little relief with big backups expected throughout the south end. Reporting in Seattle, Theron Zahn, KOMO News.
The Mariners and the Sounders are both playing at home this weekend, so that's expected to add to the traffic backups. Fans are encouraged to use light rail to get to the games. And drivers in East King County need to prepare for some potential delays as well. WashDOT is closing Highway 18 at I-90 again, this time for 8 days. days, starting at 9 o'clock tonight. Crews are working on a new interchange called a diverging diamond. Detour routes will be marked, but it's sure to add some time onto the drive. Then when Highway 18 reopens on July 25th, drivers will be using that new traffic pattern. That brings us to our KOMO Pulse poll. Scan the QR code on screen to participate, as we're asking today, how do you manage when major roadways are closed for repair work? And here's a live look at the results. Right now, most people, 77%, say I avoid that area altogether. Drops down to 10% for I use detours. Only 2% say they turn to public transit, while 11% say I just get stuck in the backups. We could soon learn much more about the case against Brian Kohberger in a quadruple murder. Still ahead, why an Idaho judge decided to lift a sweeping gag order.
More Republicans in Congress and voters call for more transparency from the Trump administration on the Epstein files. I'm Matt Gelka in Washington, and all the latest coming up.
Up next on KIRO 7 tonight, Kent's police chief says an apartment complex is becoming a major problem. The action they're taking to make sure no lives are taken. Plus, a great plan for execution. This after a man allegedly robs a bank and falls right from the ceiling. We got to look at the moment police move in to catch him and the charges he's facing.
Still ahead on KIRO 7 tonight, Washington State ramps up the fight against the opioid crisis, and we're taking you to the front lines of the epidemic.
Lights are on. The skiing's done at Summit Central as we look down into some spooky clouds above I-90. A look at the snowpack, how it responded to the recent heavy snow, and our next round of rain and mountain snow moving in.
But first, tense moments as first responders work to get an elderly couple out of a burning home. We've got to look at the rescue in action right after the break.